But they can try. Well, that's what I'm saying. It's not good. Same day. Same day. Well, because when you get off, I know what
Good morning. I want to welcome Dawn Rosada, but everybody please. We're going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance and the prayer, and then the Pledge of Allegiance. So please stand. Dawn, will you lead us in the prayer? And then the Pledge of Allegiance. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Yeah. Okay. I want to speak it. Please bow your heads. Heavenly Father, we approach. Wait.
Step back. Give you half a step. No, the microphone. Back.
Move it this way.
Move your body back to the microphone. You may be in a dead spot.
Oh, okay. Okay, can you tell me if y'all can hear me? Is that okay? It goes in and out. But Heavenly Father, we approach your throne with thanksgiving and praise for who you are and for the mighty works you have done for us. We ask for your protection. Just use your voice. I'll just talk loud. I'll just talk loud. This is Thank you. I'll just start over. All right, I'll just talk real loud. Heavenly Father, we approach your throne with thanksgiving and praise for who you are and for the mighty works you have done for us. We ask for your protection and guidance for President Trump and Vice President Pence and all conservatives running for office or fighting for our cause. Please bless them and give them wisdom to govern as you would have them, so we can preserve our great land that you gave us. Please bless our great nation that you gave us to protect and care for. We ask you to bless those who choose to do your will in this nation and to bring swift justice on those who wish us harm. Lord, you promise that no weapon formed against us will prosper, and we are standing on that promise as the election draws near. We ask for a landslide victory for President Trump, so the Democrats won't have a reason to fight. Let it be so much of a sweep that there will be no doubt who won, and so that no violence will pursue or will succeed. Please bless this gathering today. Bless everyone in attendance, and especially our distinguished speakers. Please grant them success in their elections. Lord, we thank you that you allow us to live in this great nation where we can enjoy so many of the freedoms you give us, including the freedom to worship you and to gather like this. Thank you for the food we are about to eat. May it be as nourishment to our bodies. We ask all these through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen. Amen. And now we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank y'all. Thank you for bearing with us. That's gonna be good.
I think that battery. I'll go see if I can do
Thank you, Dawn. We appreciate your prayer. And we always love the flag. Pledge allegiance.
Yeah. We got a new one. You know what it is.
They're gonna go around and get your, and your choice right now. Go ahead and start with,
I can probably charge you.
I'll show you.
we're gonna start our meeting.
Hopefully we can get our mic in there.
Yeah.
And just enjoying each other.
Mike, you need to go down.
No, I don't wanna yell, guys.
All right, everybody.
I don't want to yell.
Let me get your attention.
You ready?
I don't wanna yell, but I can.
All right, everybody.
All right, so we're gonna start our meeting. And I want to first welcome our co-host from Liberty or Lockdown, Clay. Clay's going to give you just a little bit of a synopsis of where we are with this new show, and then we're going to move into our speakers. Okay? So Clay, come on up.
Something.
Good afternoon, everybody. Of course, I don't need a mic. I got a big enough mouth here that everybody can hear me. But my name is Clay. I'm with Liberty or Lockdown. Huck is my co-host, or you guys know it as Malta. We're just going to tell you a little bit about what Liberty or Lockdown is and what we're doing, guys. We're going to be true, pure, factual news. And we're moving into more of a source of just being a talk show to more of a news media outlet. We're going to be in Washington, D.C. next week, covering, interviewing a lot of candidates. We're leaving Tuesday, and we're going to be doing shows Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday out there, live shows. So you can get to us on our libertyoflockdown.live website. Dave is actually one of our co-hosts, guys. He's our statistician. If you're going to hear from him in a little bit, he talks about all the numbers on our show. If you want to listen to us on Thursdays from 5 to 6, you'll hear me calling Latoya, Latoya the Destroyer, Queen Cynthia Lee Shane, and the Dictator Bell Edwards. I'm the ones that go out and kind of, I have names for everybody.
You sound like Trump.
It sounds like Trump. So, but we're asking for your support, guys, because without the support of the audience, without the support of the people, we can't give the good news. And so, you can go to our website, you can support us that way, you can sponsor us, you can be a silent sponsor. I know if you own a business, you may not want to put your business name on there because a lot of businesses they serve liberals and conservatives, so I understand that, but some people could be silent partners and sponsor us that way, and just help us out. Last but not least, we're doing today we're doing our Liberty or Lockdown Live. Actually, come up here and kind of would do like we did last night. So we got a Liberty or Lockdown Live with the Recall John Bell Edwards petition. If you haven't signed a petition, come out there. Let your friends know from 3 to 7 o'clock over at the Veterans Memorial. Come out there, and we're doing our show live.
Yes.
And we're going to actually, we just lined it up. We're going to be interviewing Dustin Murphy out there, and we're actually having a breaking story we're going to talk about there today. And
so it's in the Veterans Memorial, directly across the street from Lakeside Mall.
Yes.
Right on the corner of Causeway and
Yes.
Veterans. It's open to the public today. They'll have a recall John Bel Edwards petitions out there.
The recall starts at 3. The show starts at 5. You come out, bring signs if you want to come support Dustin, and maybe wave some signs for him. You know, you can do that too. We do our sign waving from that time, and then we'll do our show. And then yours truly, Clay Taylor, of course. Probably gets a kick when I say that.
Clay Taylor has the gift. He's a singer. He has
So,
a great voice.
we're going to be performing out there, singing and hanging out.
Not we.
Well, me. During the show, so we're going to do that.
Real heckle.
We'll get Martha on the stage to sing. I'm going to sing again. But also, we're doing a 50-50, guys, to help support our show in Washington. And we're going up there, so we're drawing that tonight. The tickets are $10 for one. We're right at $205, so each person will walk away with about $210. Each person will walk away with $105. I'll get it out. So they're $10 for one, 3 for $25, 10 for $50, or 100 for 20 for $100.
Yeah, so the proceeds, the half and half goes to helping us pay for the channel because we have to pay for the WGSO radio station, which is $800 a month, just for those 4 slots a month. Okay, so we're paying what's $200 a day, you know,
For that show.
for that show.
Plus going to DC and doing what we're doing and all these other extra shows we do on Facebook and YouTube. Those shows cost money, and to put on a production, I mean, these cameras, the lights, the green screen, all of that costs money to put up. And, you know, we're making this as professional as can be, and you guys can actually go back and watch this today and see. We're broadcasting this live right now. So
we're just going to try to bring you factual news as it comes out. If you hear, you know, something on mainstream media, and then you go and you hear on Liberty or Lockdown the maybe exact opposite, you might want to do some research on that, okay? Because we're going to find out what we can and deliver all of it to you. And we're going to ask you to do your research and don't listen to the mainstream media source because a lot of it is absolutely incorrect. And we've all come to know that since Trump started exposing that in 2016.
So
blessing.
that's pretty much it. But if you want those after the show, you can see us. We have them here. And getting that done. I mean, guys, this is something that we want. This is for you guys to get you guys accurate news versus fake news. And so I mean, please come talk to us afterwards and come out there tonight. Come support us. Bring your families.
Yeah, WGSO 990 AM.
Yeah, WGSO 990 AM is our show.
Thursdays at 5 p.m. drive time.
And our website is liberty.lockdown.live. And you can watch all of our shows. We interviewed Dr. Stella Emanuel last week, and we're going to have more and more interviews like that. We're actually working on a couple congressmen while we're out in D.C., and possibly Bill Barr. We got some contacts in there. And the vice president, I did get a thumbs up on that, so we're going to see what happens.
Yeah, that's right. So, and we have some interesting conversations, all of them, some of them aren't specifically directed to politics, but they somehow link to politics.
Yes.
So like yesterday we advocated for a channel, hashtag Justice for Chase LA, which that page was opened up on Friday and now has 7,000 members in just 5 days. And so they're really advocating for this little boy Chase, who has been pedophiled severely. And so how that's linked is to the court systems. The court systems are extremely corrupt, and they suppressed all the evidence and took the mother's rights. So it's unconstitutional to take a child from a parent and give them to the opposite person without actually going through legal processes and allowing evidence to come forward. But, Paul Wittig suppressed the evidence. Hearing officer Paul Wittig suppressed all the evidence. No evidence was allowed to enter. And then when it got to Judge Rowan based his ruling on Paul Wittig's ruling. which was no evidence was brought forward. And then they took the child from the mother because she was in contempt for not giving the child, handing the child over to the predators. And no mother in her right mind would hand her baby over once she already realizes the sexual abuse has occurred, and it was heinous sexual abuse. So, go to that page, hashtag justice for Chase, LA, Louisiana. When you have a chance, become a member, and you can kind of get yourself familiar with the case. It's disturbing. And so that's what we brought forward on our radio show, just a little clipping of it. And tonight we're going to be talking more about
Yes,
that.
we're going to talk more about it and kind of really go from there. So I know time-wise, we got to, you guys have a lot of speakers today, so I don't want to take up too much of your time. But I want to thank you guys for your support and what you guys do, and we'll see you guys.
Thank you. Appreciate you. All right, and then also, I wanted to bring one more guy on before we get to our main speakers. Dave, would you come and,
You gotta just go. We can fix that for you, please. Just have to turn it.
Turn it on and plug it in. And I need my
Yeah, because I didn't think it did. I'm just joking.
Okay, ladies and a few gentlemen. Oh, okay. Sorry, I'm a retired science teacher and I don't know how to stand still. I also don't know how to talk quietly. I'm a teacher, hear me bore. So I got into this because I hate when people lie. I'm a retired science teacher and I'm one of the few highly credentialed science teachers apparently that rejects the idea of evolution. And it really bothered me that people were telling the students stuff that was just flat out false, and I know about that. So anyway, when I heard all of this about the COVID pandemic and people are dropping like flies, I said, wait, that's a lie. I'm just out of curiosity, since this is a Republican Women's Club, who knows, you guys can't answer. When was the very first woman who ever ran for president?
Hillary Clinton, huh?
No,
Geraldine Ferraro.
1888, Stonington, Connecticut.
Wow.
Belva Lockwood, and this is a poster I picked up in Stonington. I went there, my family was there for 100 years, and I picked this up, and I said, this is really cool, but reading this today, it says, at 8 p.m., Ms. Hannah Lee, the long-tongued orator, will emit impassioned yawps at Borough Hall in advocacy of the election of whatever. Impassioned yawps. I guess that's what I'm going to be doing. Okay, originally when the whole COVID thing started out and the president responded to the idea of putting some sort of a lockdown, he did set up a presidential commission for how you'd open up America again. And the criteria were, if you had a downward trajectory of documented cases within a 14-day period, or downward trajectory of positive tests as percent of total tests. While I was looking at the statistics, I'm analyzing statistics every day. I get them from the Department of Health website. And I said, okay, we've been in this for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks. The governor kept us where we were for 7 weeks because he said, okay, I don't like that standard. Instead, somebody made up another thing and they told him, let's go by the 2-week rolling average. Now, guys, I teach physics and calculus and quantum mechanics, and I have a hard time understanding the governor's mathematics. But he said if we take the total number of cases over a 2-week period and compare that against the population of the parish, if you have a ratio of more than 100 in 100,000, why not just say 100,000? Then you're locked down. Where he got this from, originally the World Health Organization said if you got this many deaths, he said, no, let's just make it positive tests. You know, not everybody that gets a positive test dies. In fact, if you're under 70 years old, I calculated as of yesterday, the Louisiana death rate is 1.16%. So you don't have a very good chance of dying from it. Anyway, I've been calculating for a long time now, for a couple of months, what the 2-week rolling average is for every parish in the state. And the governor had said, if you drop under 0.1%, then you're free and clear. Well, you know what? About 7 or 8 parishes are hovering around there, and he changed his standard again. And now, instead of allowing you to opt out, he said, no, it's a statewide mandate. And the criterion now is you have to have less than a 5% positive rate over a 2-week period. You know what? That information is not available. This information is. I look this up every day and I tabulate it, and you can see, for instance, that Jefferson Parish is doing pretty well. We are, if you take the 0.1% thing, Jefferson Parish is at 0.118, I believe, up the top there. So we're really close, and right under us, Jefferson Davis is 0.108. So there are a lot of people like me that are upset with what the governor's been doing and want him recalled. Did you notice yesterday he changed the standard? Previously, he had said, we're going to go to phase 3, and now bars can stay open until 10. A lot of people want to recall it. Yesterday, he said, well, no, the COVIDs can't keep track of time that well, so we're going to keep the bars open till 11. The little COVIDs, they were going to wake up at 10, but they shifted the daylight time, so now they wake up at 11. So that's when it's dangerous. I don't drink, I don't go to bars, but still, that's ridiculous. It's a legitimate business. So just to show you, this is the trajectory of the various parishes around the state, and let me bring up Jefferson Parish for you. Now, if you say that we have a 0.1%, that means you've totaled up the 2-week total. Jefferson Parish has 434,000. If you get within 2 weeks 434 positive tests, that's not sick people, that's not dead people, that's not even people with symptoms. You get 434 positive tests, you shut the parish down. That's 31 a day. Because of 31 positives a day, 434,000 people get shut down.
Right.
That's pretty ridiculous.
It is
That's why I want the
ridiculous.
governor out of here.
Yeah.
So if anybody is interested in keeping track of the statistics, I do have a web page. And you'll see, this was one of my favorite pictures of all time. One of my students a few years ago, he was the first one to ever go to college in his family, so he drew that picture of me. But if you go to MrPrentice.com, you can keep track of all of these statistics. They're in Microsoft Excel format, so you can look these up any day, and I update them every day. And some of the politicians don't like that. I talked to a couple state representatives, and one of them said, well, why are your numbers so different from the governor? I said, because I'm using the latest numbers. He's giving you stuff from 5-6 weeks ago when things looked bad. Things are looking great now. If it were not for the governor's mandate, we would be free and clear.
Can we take these and share? Can we take them off the webpage and share?
Sure. Go to MrPrentice.com and either give the link or print them up or whatever. They're all in Microsoft Excel format.
He said, no, let go to our website, it's on there.
Yeah.
Speaking of Liberty Lockdown.
Here's the Liberty or Lockdown.live page. And my stuff, if you go to the upper right where it says more, there's Mr. Prentice. That's all of my little statistics.
Okay.
So you can get at it either way. And feel free to share. I update them every day. So my email is right at the top of my page. And if you want to know, is this the latest, just click right here, contact me there.
Okay.
It's right on MrPrentice.com.
I have a question. So tell us about how, I've heard something about harvesting holding back the tests
Oh,
and then releasing them
yeah.
because there's gaps.
A few weeks ago, the numbers for Orleans and Jefferson were getting really low. And all of a sudden, oh, we got 700 more positive tests. Now we're getting like 32 positive tests a day in Jefferson Parish, but all of a sudden we got 700 new ones. Oh, yeah, this is called sandbagging. You hold it back so that you can release it at the right time. But even with that, it jumped up and it's coming back down. We're very shortly going to be at that magic 1/10 of 1% number. Of course, that doesn't mean anything to the governor.
He's just gonna change it again. Literally, we could be at 0 and he's gonna say, well, people's gotta start not getting cases. And then, oh, so too many people don't have it, then we're gonna keep you locked down because we got, it's gonna affect the alternative.
Originally, the idea was let's flatten the curve so the hospitals are not overwhelmed. Hey, guys, guess what? The hospitals are not overwhelmed. There's, this is the present hospitalization data. There it is. Blue is in use, yellow is free and clear. We're in region 1. There are about, 250 ICU beds.
350.
350. Oh, well, no, 350 in use.
Yeah.
And somewhere close to 200 that are available. And, these things are designed to be used. So we have excess capacity all throughout the state. We're not in danger of having to not treat people. We did flatten the curve months and months and months ago. So let's change the standard. Let's move the goalpost to this, now to this, now to this, now to this. My speculation, governor wants mail-in voting. He has to have an emergency. He sees the future. He's already said December is going to still be an emergency. He turned down the voting plan submitted by the Secretary of State. He said, oh no, that won't protect people. This is in December? Well, I'm not, I can't see the future.
Hey, Dave, do you actually think that the people that are advising him or the NFL referees that were doing the things that they were doing to the Saints, how every time they go to make a touchdown, they move the goalpost and we'll flag them and bring them back?
Okay, any questions?
Probably same
Yeah,
people.
same people advising them.
So I guess what you're doing is just bringing awareness to the people that this is what's happening today.
Yeah.
Right? And the numbers are, you're basing that off of state site.
This is the Louisiana Department of Health data. It's updated every day at noon except Saturday. And so I update mine every day about 1 p.m.
Yeah, so with the state site, this is where we're at.
That's
Yes.
a shame.
And yet they're still screaming pandemic.
We are being
And this-
lied to.
This is the rate of positive testing. It's now down at 4% of the tests are positive. So 1 out of 25 tested positive. And it seems to me that the people going in are the ones that feel a little sick and they say, oh, let me go in. So naturally, you're going to expect to have some positives, but there's very, very few of them. Yes, ma'am.
Has anyone come out with numbers yet that shows that the statistics of how many tests there are?
No.
So if a person gets tested 3 or 4 times, they still come
Right.
multiple positive.
My state representative, Joe Stagney, he refuses to sign a petition about canceling the governor's order. He sent me something and he said, there's no indication that there were duplicate tests. And I said, I don't care. I'm just using the raw numbers from the state, taking them at face value. This is if there are no duplicates. If there are duplicates, it's going to be even lower.
Did you get the news last night about LSU having free testing on the campus? And then if you take the test, you get a better seat at the game.
What?
Yeah. Yes.
How about
Did you see that?
Yeah.
They announced it last night. I was laying down. I saw. They said the incentive to get tested is that they get a better seat in the stadium.
And if you're positive, 50-yard line, right?
Yeah.
Positive 50-yard line.
Negative to what I'm pushing.
Well, I mean, they have this. You can't be telling people they're offering them a better seat because the stadiums aren't even open, right?
Yeah, they are. They're all open.
It's going to be for the next day.
Well, but still, that's not open. That's 25%. So
Yeah.
they still.
They're going to be scattered around. It's not like, there won't be anybody that knows.
Yeah.
In other words, if all of them got tested, not all of them would be be able to enter the stadium because it would be more than 25%, right?
Well, they may be getting those because of COVID.
Well, that's true because of the test.
Huh?
The test gives you no clue.
Anyway, I thought that was very
Coach O said that the majority of the football team has already had COVID back in June.
Yeah, that's what we got.
Yeah, what happens to most people that get COVID?
Around 90 of the players, I know they have 200 something players total, but around 90 of them,
They're all
almost half of them got it.
Most people that get COVID are either asymptomatic or kind of like a mild cold.
Especially boys.
People die. It's about 1/3 the death rate of the flu.
That was so good. I'm so glad that we had that.
Yeah, I didn't even know it until I seen it come up. I thought it was just a dump.
Thank you for checking on that.
Okay, thank
What are impassioned y'all? Isn't that kind of insulting?
Thank you, Next, I want to welcome Dustin Murphy. Dustin was born and raised in North Louisiana. He's a conservative Republican, and he's a candidate for United States Senate. Dustin is a graduate of
Washington.
Thank you. High school and studied at Southern State Community College. Dustin is married to Maricela Murphy. They have 2 beautiful daughters, Summer and Aubrey. Say hi to everybody. Our future politicians. Dustin is asking for the opportunity to serve Louisiana and be a voice for the people. Let's welcome Dustin Murphy.
How's everyone doing here today? Doing good. So I'm Dustin Murphy. I have never ran for office. I've never held office, and that's kind of scary to some people. I'm a blue collar worker. I'm a welder. I'm a tradesman. That's all I know. And I believe that we've come to a point in our nation where our voice is not heard, because we may not have the money to buy our voice. And it's sickening that we get forgotten. The small business owners in our state that are being affected by these lockdowns and this madness, and for what? Louisiana is on track to lose around 25% of its small businesses, which accounted for around 52% of GDP last year. That's where we're at, and no one's standing up. Nobody wants to say anything. Nobody wants to cross that line. And I think it's time that we have somebody that's bold and courageous and who's not afraid to say what needs to be said. You know, I know that I'm a younger guy, and that's also scary sometimes because maybe I'm a millennial, but I'm not. I'm a conservative. I'm a tried and true conservative. I grew up listening to stories about President Reagan. I wrote my high school or my college thesis in political science. I wrote it on President Reagan. I believe in those conservative principles. I believe that I'm a devout Christian. I believe it's time that we have a voice on the federal level, because there's things coming down this pipeline that if we don't stop them today, we'll never get this opportunity. We're at a tipping point. We either want safety and security, or we want our liberties and our freedoms. We can't have both. I think it was John Adams who said that. That's that French. I'm so sorry. They said that. I'm so sorry.
It's a Biden moment.
Yeah. No, everyone does know Benjamin Franklin who said that you can have security, you have liberty, you can't have both. You know, you want safety and security over liberty, you'll wind up losing both. You deserve neither, you lose.
Yeah.
And it's kind of the same statement. So this is the same ideology, is that from the founding, the whole point was liberty. Liberty is dangerous and it's chaotic and it can get you hurt if you allow it. But it's the safest form of government we've ever had. This representative republic, this is not a democracy, this is not mob. This is a representative republic, and it's the safest form of government that's ever existed. Our Constitution is a living document, like many of us would refer to the Bible as a living word. Our Constitution is a living document because the founders had the foresight and the wisdom bestowed on them by our Creator, that they seen that they did not have a perfect union, and that they were not perfect men, that there would be an opportunity to make a more perfect union. There would be an opportunity to strive towards a more perfect way of life. And now we've got to the point, I think we've got spoiled by our way of life. We've become complacent in our way of life. We decide that when we go to vote, we vote for ours. And that may have carried well 30s and the 40s into the 70s and 80s whenever you have people like President Reagan around. But that's not the case today. You can no longer just go and pick someone because they have a Republican next to their name. There's too many Romneys and Rubios, too many McConnells. You cannot continue down this path. We can't. As a party, we can't. We can no longer be afraid of the party across the aisle. At some point, we can no longer be the silent majority. We have to speak up and be loud and be heard. And, you know, Christians, we side with conservative because we're pro-life. We believe in sanctity of marriage. We have a high moral standard in which we hold ourselves. But the world can smell fear. And here lately it seems is that some of those in the GOP have given off a spirit of fear. That we're afraid. And I am not afraid. I'm tired of being quiet. I'm tired of keeping my voice down. I'm tired of bowing to the social pressure. I'm ready to stand up. I'm ready to fight. I'm ready to be loud. You know, there's people like AOC who are my age in Congress. She's plenty loud. But where's the voice on the other side other than Miss Candace Owens who does not reside in office? That's the kind of voices that we need. We need loud, bold, courageous Christians to step up and say enough is enough. It's time that we bring this party back into what it's supposed to be, and it's supposed to represent the working class, blue collar individual. This is not an elitist society, the Republican Party is. Every one of us knows someone who works a regular 9 to 5. Maybe you work a regular 9 to 5. Every one of us knows someone who works in the oil field who's been affected by these shutdowns. We all know somebody. We're all either family or directly affected. And the time for this is over. The time for playing games and political pandering. This is not the party we need to be. If we bring truth, we take the truth and we just apply it, courageously apply the truth. I believe the world will start to take notice and understand that this is not a party that is a protectionist party. That's what we call. We only protect the corporate class, but we're not. On the way from North Louisiana down here, the Trump flags that you see, the linemen who work around our area that are flying, have Trump shirts on. They can't openly fly flags, but they have their Trump shirts on. They're working on our power lines from Grant Parish this way. These are working class individuals, and they know that the Republican Party represents the truth. But we've got to convince others. We've got to be loud. We've got to get out and make our voices heard. And I don't have a whole lot more to say about that. I'm not very good at long speeches, so I believe at this point is where I'll cut my speech short. But I want to thank y'all for having me here today. Thank Ms. Martha, Clay. They've been very vocal in support of our candidacy. They're great people. After this, come shake my hand. Get to know me, look me in the eye.
Are you gonna take questions? May I take questions?
If I can, if I'm allowed to.
Is that okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Excellent. Okay. I love to hear the words that you just said because it's very refreshing because we don't have, the Constitution has been kind of put down, and we need our Republicans to really embrace the Constitution and honor their oath of office. And they are not. We can see it in the Louisiana legislature, and we can see it on a national level. So that's my question is, if you're a senator, and this is going on, like let's say at the beginning of this crisis, right, when it was clear that it was not what they said it was going to be, and they were shutting everything down, and who didn't know what was going to be the destruction, right, that was going to happen? What, as a United States Senator, what would you have done?
I would have called on the party of Louisiana, the GOP, to step up. I would have made my voice heard because states are sovereign. As a United States Senator, you have no right to legislate that states do. So that falls on the state. But we have a Republican legislature. We have a majority, a supermajority in which they can overturn these decisions.
Right.
But they have not.
Right.
So as a United States Senator, you're on Fox News, you're on CNN, you're probably not going to be on MSNBC, but you get your face out there, you're going to be seen, and if you're a dissenting voice, you're going to be seen even more. They will put you in the limelight, and if you're calling your party out, then your party will either get in line or they will have to explain to their constituents why you're on Fox News telling that we should be reopened right now, given the numbers that you have coming from the CDC.
So as a senator, you can't exert any control over the state legislature, but you can talk to your constituents, right?
Exactly.
So,
Okay.
okay,
Now, there's a thin line in which the House is the people's, that's the people's branch, is the House Representatives. There is a thin line in which, once constitutionality has been crossed, I do believe at the federal level you have a right and a obligation to take and step into and intervene when the Constitution has been crossed. I believe that at the federal level you do have obligation, because that's the whole point, right? The whole point of the federal government is to protect the rights not granted by the Constitution, but the rights of the people under the Constitution. You're supposed to keep that. You're supposed to draw a line in the sand and say we can't cross that. And I think that that's kind of where we're at. I think that there
So
is an
you might-
opportunity.
you would be willing to do something like that. You would be willing to vocally come out and say, hey, the Constitution is being violated.
I would be vocal, yes. I'd be willing to be vocal. I'm not 100% sure where the Senate rules fall on what you can do legislatively.
All right. And but the House of Representatives, like Clay Higgins, has made some very powerful videos, which is really great, but he is in the House, so.
Yes, that's the people's branch.
Okay.
So you would be more of a Ted Cruz type person?
Ted Cruz, Rand Paul, somebody who's constitutionally allowed.
To talk up and what's going on. Because I look at Ted Cruz and I'm like, that's what we need in Louisiana. Because he talks out, he's not afraid to say what make me.
Yes, ma'am. I believe there's times we have that.
Yeah, that's what we need.
Well, there was a ruling actually in the United States Supreme Court right after the Civil War that 71 U.S. 2, and this was in 1866, which yet stands to this day. Neither the legislative nor the executive or judicial officers may disregard the provisions of the Constitution in case of an emergency. Section 9, now the explaining of it is Section 98, therefore anyone who declares a suspension of the constitutionality guarantees rights to freely travel, peaceably assemble, earn a living, freely worship, or attempt to enforce such suspension within 50 independent, sovereign, constitutional United States of America is making war against the Constitution, and therefore we the people may violate their constitutional oath and thus immediately forfeit their office and authority to the proclamations may be disregarded with impunity. That means anyone, even the governors and the president. So that's something that is a ruling in the Supreme Court. It's a Supreme Court
What
ruling.
is that, a Supreme Court rule?
Yes.
So Senator, what are gonna be your main focus? Because I know each politician has like things that are important to them.
You
So
have a
what's
pet
important to
project.
you?
Well, the one of the biggest things we got into this is not only my faith, but there was a press conference in which they were discussing the ruling in New York where they were allowed to remove the mother from. There's a ruling in New York where they were allowed to remove the mother from the home over a positive COVID test, and I told my wife, I said, something we got to do. We got to pray about. We have to do something. We can't allow this to become commonplace. So we prayed about it, and I just felt a calling that as Christians, we don't get up and do. We pray that something gets done, and I just felt that on my spirit. And I said, hey, we need to get up and do it. But as a pet project, two of the biggest things on my thing is medical liberty. I believe we got to get more to the holistic style of medicine. Get away from all the opiates and the prescribing stuff just to prescribe things. We need to work on that. It's not so much the healthcare; it's the liberties in the healthcare. Because I'm not a doctor, so I'm not going to pretend to be one or explain that I have some expertise. But that's one of my pet projects. Second would be in education. I believe we need to get the federal government out of the state locality education. I'd like to get rid of I'd like to go back to what Reagan said and defund or get rid of the Department of Education, but we need to remove the federal out of it. And set it on top with that in the education realm, I would like to start teaching true history and civics in early education, maybe first, second grade. And we can make it interactive where kids grow up in their entire lives. They learn this through high school. A lot of kids graduate at 18, 19 years old. They have no idea what we represent, what our government's supposed to do and how it's supposed to function, but they're ready to go out and vote. And they're right out of high school and they're casting votes on something that they don't even understand because we failed to educate them.
They teach them racial injustice, but they don't teach them civics, so they don't want to go out and protest. But if you ask the vice president, they don't know.
Now, something else is, I'm hoping to, get more people involved in politics, basically get more conservatives out. One of my big things is that I want to bring the stereotypes down.
Yeah.
Obviously, I've been called a Democrat so many times just because of the way that I look. And one of the biggest hurdles is being able to go speak at locations and not get like either double fined or chased out of a location. Is that something that you're going to speak out about, or try to at least help Republicans at least get like a fair shot? Because me and Terry were talking about this. It's really hard to be a conservative and be anything conservative in actual New Orleans because everybody's fighting against you.
Yeah. So, you have to draw a line in between what private and public is. You can't, if you're in a public place, you're guaranteed the First Amendment. You're guaranteed the right to assemble. It's more than just your freedom of religion. It falls under your freedom of speech too. You have a right to protest, peacefully assemble and protest. So I don't understand why they wouldn't grant that or guarantee that, and that would be something probably a constitutional lawyer would be more apt to be able to get down and explain the nuances of it. But I'm wholeheartedly in support of I'm not much for, I want fairness, not, I want equality. I don't want equality of outcome. I want equality of opportunity.
Right.
So I want us to all have an equal opportunity to get out and be able to share our voice and speak. It's like coming here, Ms. Martha allowing me to come here today and speak to y'all. Not every place I've spoke to that's Republican is going to allow me to come and speak because I am running against the incumbent. And that's not really acceptable. That's not what people want.
I heard that.
But that's what we are. We are where we are in our society, and I believe I believe a little different. It's not.
Yeah, I just know it's a huge problem with universities.
Yes.
And other locations.
Well, I've seen people like with Charlie Kirk, Freedom Words. He gets a lot
That's
of.
exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to do. Is go to
Yeah.
schools and stuff like that.
Yeah. And
Okay, so
I haven't heard back.
Well, I mean, there's people that you can reach that we can't.
Exactly, and that's what I'm hoping to do.
So there's conservatives that they are to the right. If anyone knew your background without looking at you, judging you, they would have no idea you were raised conservative in Alaska, where guns are on the table when you eat and your family's Christian and you have a great spirit about it. You really do. And they just need to get to know you. And there's a niche that you have that we get into.
Right.
I believe the party represents a lot more people than what actually believe. Like true conservatism, not protectionist conservatism, but true conservatism aligns with constitutional libertarianism in a lot of ways. But the Libertarian Party is a little bit fractured right now on the pro-life issue. There's a lot of them that are, pro-choice because they say it's a rights issue. I don't believe that. That's why I can't be a libertarian. That's why I'm a Republican, and I tell people all the time, I don't want to guide the Republican Party back to the right. I want to put it in a headlock and drag it. We don't have time to ease it back to where we need to be. We don't get it back now.
Exactly. And that's what I'm trying to do my part. But I just didn't know, because I want to make sure anybody that I vote for is going to push fairness for both sides.
Yeah, I want,
it's hard to get in as a Republican.
I want equality of opportunity, not equality of outcome. We should all have the opportunity.
Right.
You could put Miss Romney in a headlock.
Yeah.
Would you be willing to go against Mitt Romney?
Oh, yeah.
See, they said something yesterday that they voted on it. 52 out of 53 votes. So I'm figuring the one that didn't vote was Mitt
I would
Romney.
doubt it.
Yeah. Oh, it was on the.
Any other questions?
I just wanted to say that the, trying to move, putting them in a headlock and dragging them is, I've never run for office before, but this time I'm running for the Republican State Central Committee.
It's fine.
And that is exactly the reason why, is because watching our Republican legislature over this COVID thing, they could have saved us 5-6 months ago.
Yeah.
And they didn't. And how many suicides, how many business losses, how many elderly people died alone in a nursing home without spending their last months with their families. I mean, it's just horrific what's been going on. And so that's why I'm running, because I had no idea. I would have never thought in a million years that they would have allowed this to happen, and they have allowed it to happen. Now, we have that delegation, the Alan Seabaugh, the Danny McCormick's, Valerie Hodges. I mean, they stood up, they have been phenomenal, but the rest of them have not been phenomenal. And so my purpose of running is to bring the Constitution back. Connie for the Constitution. That's going to be my tagline.
I think COVID really did bring out a lot of true colors. I think that COVID, in disguise, it's detrimental to our state, and it's going. A year from now, this is not a budget crisis. A year from now is going to be the real budget crisis for Louisiana.
Yeah.
Because these small oil companies that are now defunct and went belly up, people can say oil's on the decline all they want, but it's a lifeblood for us.
It is.
Our state runs on agriculture and oil and gas.
Yeah, we don't need to.
I mean, we're going to feel this a year from now, 18 months from now. We're still going to be feeling the effects, and nationwide we'll be feeling it in a year from now. Because a lot of these small companies that work, I worked for several small companies on a pipeline that nobody would even know the name of, that are based, right out here out of South Louisiana. And we did lines, we did repair work, things like that. Those companies aren't going to come back to doing repair work. They didn't budget. They didn't have a budget for this. And a lot of people think small business owners are making a killing, but a lot of small businesses in Louisiana, their actual rent home is less than $60,000 a year. So you're not making a killing as a small business owner. You're not coming back, but you employ 4 or 5 people. You're a staple of your community. You become woven in the fabric of the life that is in your communities. And the quality of life in rural areas like where I'm from, that's going to drop. We have a restaurant down the road. The town my wife works in. We have a restaurant that's been there since I was a little kid. There's pictures of me before they didn't have a place to dine in. It was just you come up to a window and order food. And that place is now going out of business. That place has been there. My wife's bank's been where it's at for 112 years. But even they're talking about, they've had to make sacrifices and cut back. I work for a multi-billion-dollar company that's a global company, and we've cut five individuals from my shop. We had our hours cut back early on because the paper mill's being affected, the steel mill's being affected. This hasn't just affected small independent business. It's going to be a long-term drastic effect that we could have, like you said, we could have very easily avoided had we had a stronger, as the Republicans would have been stronger. But I say all that to say, maybe this is what we needed to wake this party up and to realize that we had started to move to center left. That we can't always be tolerant of opposition. You can't always give in. You can't always find common ground. Because what if the common ground is between killing children and not? Where are you going to find common ground on that? You can't find common ground on that. So you can't compromise. You can't compromise your core. And that we have started to do that. We've seen the Republican Party start to compromise its core values. And that scares me because I have 2 little girls that are here today. And what world are they going to have to grow up in if we don't stop it today? If we don't stop it now, what are they going to have to deal with, 6 years from now? The next time that this seat comes up for election, what are they going to be dealing with? Where are we going to be as a country if we keep allowing the left to run rampant and drag the party further and further into the left? So,
Don't give up.
Where do you stand on the forced vaccination?
the mandatory vax, I'm against. I don't care if you're for vaccination, if you're against vaccination, none of that matters. That's not my business. That's yours. That's when you and your doctor make the best decision for you. A lot of people don't realize, they think that mandatory vaccine is just going to affect our kids in school, but there's an adult vaccine schedule that I bet most of us in this room are not up to date on. And if it becomes mandatory, we are also going to be having to get our vaccines every year to travel, to work. The mandatory vaccine is a very slippery slope. We're already seeing it in Australia where they're saying you won't be able to travel abroad, not use public education, public transportation, and not certain career fields are going to be mandated. This is grown people. We're talking, and you just heard Mr. Dave with the statistics on COVID. Is this really, I mean, we're really going to let it get this out of hand over something that you got a 99, in my area, we got a 99.7% chance of survival. Or not even, you get it. I mean, you're still in the high 90 percentile. Is this something that we're going to allow to continue to control our lives? I mean, is it that, you know what I mean? At what point are we comfortable giving up our freedoms for safety?
So you think that the governor is doing this for political purposes? Because shouldn't he be taking care of all these businesses and making sure they stay open?
I do. I think that I have certain strong personal opinions. I won't go in and call certain things out. I won't say certain things because they're my personal held belief.
Right.
And,
In general, do you think
yeah,
that's
I
what's
just,
going on?
I do. I think it's become political. I think a lot of it happened. You look at Georgia. Georgia's reopened. Their governor passed a mandate where no one can have a mask mandate throughout the state. No mayor can enforce a mask. Their numbers are on the drop. Texas, they try to bring Texas up like it was detrimental, but a lot of Texas is out under mask mandates. They have no, significant rises. Barr's law says that your people will decline with the virus. Viruses spread, and they actually spread themselves out of existence.
Right.
What we did in the first lockdown, the complete phase one, is all we do is prolong the spread of the virus. We should have taken and worried more about our elderly and our immune compromise, like we have with every other major outbreak, from swine flu to Ebola. You have to protect those people, but you can't stop the economy. Because you create a social impact. You got to think about where you're going and what it's going to cost for lives, and that's the greatest capitalist lives. So I understand some of the people that overreacted because they were given bad information, but once we realize that we're getting fed the wrong info, we've got to change course. We have to be humble enough to say, "Hey, I made a mistake, and I'm sorry," and then move on. And I think that goes a long way.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Is it just you and Cassidy that are running for this seat?
No, there are 15 people running. We have a jungle primary. In a jungle primary, the first is general election is our primary. All 15 of us are on the ballot. You have to get a 50% plus one vote to win it outright. I think the last time it happened was in the early 60s. I would have to be checked on
I can't hear him, y'all. I
the
cannot
last
hear
time
him.
a Senate candidate won an outright general election. It hasn't happened in modern history. So it probably wasn't going to happen this time. We get a lot of flack for this because I run as a Republican and people say, well, if there's one Democrat and two Republicans, do the math. But that's not the math. You're giving bad information. You don't understand civics in the state of Louisiana. There's only a few states that do jungle primaries anymore. We're one of them. So everybody's on the ballot. There's 15, I think it's 15 on the ballot. We're the only other Republican. I think there are 6 Democrats, non-registered, and a few independents and one
So it's
libertarian.
just you and Cassidy?
We're the only Republicans on the ballot.
Oh, yeah, we forgot about Melinda.
Who's that?
Oh, no,
Melinda
you
is
serious?
Crazy lady.
the one who ran against John Paul. You said you don't know something?
Oh, that's crazy.
Oh, yeah, you know, she's
Yeah.
running. I'm sorry, you don't need to know her name. I mean, forgive me, sir. Forget.
It's okay, we don't
No.
need to know her.
Well,
We'll give you the story after.
He does need to know it.
there are.
Yeah, he does.
I didn't know that.
She must have just jumped in. at
She
the
might,
last
is she an
minute.
independent now? She
Maybe
might have
she's running
switched.
this in
Well, that's okay. Well,
She might
that's-
have switched her.
I know. I'm trying to keep up with it, right? Because you don't
She
want
might have
somebody.
switched her.
She's,
She switched.
Yeah,
She
anyway,
switched.
There's okay. So I don't want to hurt President Trump's chances of keeping a Republican in the season, but the reality is that the first round in Louisiana, you can vote for who you want and who you believe in because the top 2 make it to a runoff. And if there's no enthusiasm in the Democrat Party, who's to say there's not me and Mr. Cassidy running against
Right.
one another in general? Because that's the way our rules are set up.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be a Republican and a Democrat. It's the 2 top. It's the two top earners. Whoever gets the most votes, the two top, they will represent their respective parties in the general. And that'll be December 5th. So on November 3rd, I'll be number 10. I would like your support, and I would like to speak with y'all further after this. I know my time's getting close, so I appreciate y'all having me here today. Thank y'all for speaking with me.
Thank you for coming.
December 5th. That's the one I'm on.
Thank you. Appreciate you. We appreciate you. All right, our next guest. We have Better Half. All right. I'm going to go ahead and give you this. Eric Strometta is not with us. He has to deal with some things in Baton Rouge for the Lake Charles Laura, right? Electricity issues.
Telephone. Don't throw
Telephone?
electricity companies under the bus.
Okay. Eric is a native New Orleanian. He's a graduate of Brother Martin School and Louisiana University, Southern University Law School, and Tulane University Law School. Eric's married to his beautiful, wonderful, lovely wife. I had to. Debbie Strometta. They have two children, Elizabeth and Ray. Family is very important to Eric. He models for his children the importance, not models, but let me finish the sentence. Just kidding. He models for his children the importance of community involvement and commitment. Eric is a lifelong resident of the New Orleans area and proud Republican for 40 years. Please welcome his wife, Debbie Strometta.
Y'all are so sweet, man. You make everybody feel really good. I'm so glad I'm here. I apologize for Eric. As Martha said, he was confirmed. I don't know how much y'all have looked at what Hurricane Laura did in the Lake Charles area and all the way up through the northern part of the state. It is probably the worst thing we've ever seen. And it is just massive. It is a massive undertaking. And I will be very honest. I'm going to call out our electric utility providers. They have done the most amazing job trying to get this back together. I think Eric told me that at one point, Entergy was dropping 1,000 poles a day. Wow. Okay, it's huge. Transmission towers just crumbled. If y'all looked at his Facebook, you've seen them. They're crumbled on the ground. They are a mess, and they're having to rework all of that and redirect that power. And I mean, it has been a massive undertaking. And the Public Service Commission has been there every step of the way. But our electric utilities have done an amazing job getting the power back on. Unfortunately, there are some other utility providers that haven't stepped up as maybe they should. And an issue came yesterday, and it required his immediate attention at a meeting for today. So he was hoping he would make it. He does send his regrets, but sometimes you got to do what you got to do, because I got to tell you guys, had that monster hit here, you would want Commissioner Francis and you would want Commissioner Green standing there with Eric trying to fix this problem. So it's an all hands on deck moment. As Martha said, my husband has been in office for 12 years and he loves his job. He does. He's amazing at it. And I bet a lot of you guys don't know that the Public Service Commissioner job is part-time. But this man gives his full-time time and attention. He answers his phone. Ask the sheriff of Washington Parish when the sheriff's phone lines went out at 2 o'clock in the morning. Who did he call? Oh, wait, that was my house. And Eric got up, and he woke people from AT&T up, and those phones got fixed. Because he cares. He truly walks the walk and talks the talk. He's got proven conservative values. Look at the policy that he's put in place at our Public Service Commission to keep rates low. He is the strong conservative voice on the PSC, and he does not shy down from Foster Campbell. Doesn't do it. They'll get into knockdown, drag out fights because Eric believes what he believes because we sent him there to be that conservative voice and to keep the Public Service Commission just that, conservative and working for the people. Eric is a lifelong Republican. He's pro-life, pro-Second Amendment, proudly serves on the Republican State Central Committee, and formerly served on the Jefferson Parish RPAC. He was the first guy on the Trump train in 2016 in the state of Louisiana. Very proud of that. He was the 2016 co-chair, currently the 2020 co-chair as well. And he's very proud of the landslide that the state of Louisiana delivered to President Trump in 2016, and we're hoping to do that again. So, you know, he's done a lot on the commission, and it's, you know, a lot of people don't even know what the Public Service Commission does, but he's opposed the public paying for inmate telephone services. Because he feels like that the inmates and their families need to pay for that. We shouldn't be. He wants everyone to pay their fair share for electricity. So there's been a lot of issues with solar, and the Public Service Commission said, hey, anybody who wants solar can have it. Go put it on your house. Go right ahead. But the rest of us shouldn't pay for the grid for those people that had solar. So they reworked the solar tax rates so that when people make their own electricity, they get retail rates in their home, but they get wholesale rates for what they sell back to the grid, so that they are helping to maintain the grid, pay for the line workers, and do all of those other things that the rest of us are doing too. The industry is not dead, but you know, you can only be given a handout for so long. He's cut utility bills about $8 billion. He's returned over $1 billion in rate credits. And you're thinking, wow, really? But think about it. When there's an issue at the PSC and an electric company comes, they, you know, want a rate increase or whatever, or they need special bills covered, the PSC looks at that. And if they overcharge or not done a calculation correctly, then that money comes back to you guys, and you'll see it on your bills. You know, a rate credit for this, a rate credit for that. That is where, like when they did the tax break, when President Trump did that tax break, you got a credit on your bill because the utilities rates were lower. That money came back to you. I'm sorry.
So that's why my bill was so low last.
Yeah, all that came back to you, and that's what your Public Service Commission did. They wanted to make sure that what you get is fair. When Eric took office 12 years ago, Louisiana was 26th in the nation for the lowest utility bills. We now have the lowest residential utility rates in the nation. Cool. What we also have is the lowest industrial utility rates. And that just happened a couple months ago because the PSC's been working real hard on that. And you might think, well, I don't pay industrial rates, but you know what? That's what brings new business and new industry to the state of Louisiana. And we all know that new things need to come here if we as a state are going to thrive. So having lower industrial utility rates is a big deal so that we get additional industry into our state. There was a energy efficiency program put in place a couple of years ago, and it was something that the utility companies did to help lower the consumption of electricity in the state and save people money on their electric bills. The way the program was set up, though, the management fees were being sent to a company out of state, like to the tune of like $4 or $5 million in fees. So when Eric figured that out, he worked with the public service commissioners, and they looked at that program, and now that fee money stays in the state, and the commissioners can use that money in their districts. So let's just say Martha over here has a school, and she wants to put in new energy efficiency lighting. And that would be wonderful for her because then the electric bills go down at her school, which means she's got more money to go buy library books or paint the playground or whatever she wants to do. She can put a grant application into Eric, into her public service commissioner, and say, I need $50,000 for new lights. And if she can make her case, he will grant her that money, free and clear, for her to go do that, to upgrade her school and then be able to do other things. So that money is being funneled back into our government buildings, our schools, sheriff's offices. And you know what? At the end of the day, guys, that saves us money. Because if Martha's school needed lights and she didn't have to ask the school board or the parish council for that money, she doesn't get, a tax increase from us to pay for that. So the Public Service Commission is putting that money back into our parishes, and it is making a difference. Eric is recognized nationally as a leader in energy policy. This year, Eric was voted onto the board. I always get this wrong, so bear with me. The National Association of Regulatory Utility Commissioners. So he sits on the board of the National of NARUC. It's one of those, you get the acronym, and then I gotta go look through it real carefully. Okay. He also sits as the vice chairman of the Washington Action Committee. He sits as the NARUC President's liaison to the White House. He sits on the NARUC Disaster Recovery Task Force. He sits on the board of the Organization of MISO States. He sits as a council member in the New Mexico University Utility Policy Sector. So he is very, very involved, not only locally, but nationally. And it's a big honor for him to represent Louisiana on the national stage. We've got a voice. We've got somebody fighting for us at that national level. And with that said, I don't know how many of you guys follow Eric on Facebook, but I think it was last week, might have been the week before. Eric was invited to a meeting with Energy Secretary Brulé. And this was a big deal. Because if you guys think back, when we've had hurricanes come, oftentimes after all the work is said and done, utility companies by federal law, may recover their storm costs, may recover their costs for damages. So it's something that we have to pay for. It is what it is, can't change it. But Secretary Brulé came with Steve Scalise and looked at the damage in Southwest Louisiana, looked at the damage in Northern Louisiana, and realized what a massive undertaking this is going to be. And he is proactively looking at how the federal government can step in and help with some of those costs. Can they rework the Stafford Act to cover our investor-owned utilities to help cover some of these massive restoration costs? It's super exciting because if the feds step in and do that, it will be less on our backs. That storm utility cost will be less. It just will. So keep your fingers crossed. Eric will be working very, very hard with Congressman Scalise to try and work with the Energy Secretary to make this happen in some form. So it's really exciting. Eric is committed to continuing to bring energy efficiency programs to the state, and to that end, he's looking to bring large-scale solar arrays to the state. There's several that are getting ready to come online, several more being planned. Wind isn't an option for us, but we do have space for these solar arrays to come in to help widen out our energy profile. While not under the Public Service Commission, he's very committed to bringing broadband to our rural areas. Not everybody has internet, and I know, surprisingly, but unfortunately, the Public Service Commission does not have regulatory authority over broadband. But it's something that he's working on, and he's committed to whatever he has to do to bring broadband to throughout our state, so that when kids are doing homework and people are working from home, they have that. As Martha mentioned, he is very involved in our community. He's a Knights of Columbus 4th degree. He does Kiwanis. He's in the Shriners. So in his spare time, he is very, very involved in trying to make our nation a better place and to do some of that with our son. It's very exciting. Grace turned 18 a couple of months ago, and he is now a 4th degree in Knights of Columbus. So it's kind of exciting that they're now being able to do that together. It makes my heart happy. Eric has been endorsed by the Louisiana GOP, the St. Charles RPAC, the Republican RPAC. As of last night, they say Tammany RPAC and GNOR. So we're real excited about the support he's receiving, excited to know that people see what this obscure job is and what a great job he's doing, and we're very grateful for those endorsements. So you're probably sitting there and going, okay, so now what? You know what? How can you help us? We've got 6 people nipping at Eric's heels. It is what it is. I don't know why everybody wants to be the public service commissioner, but they do. So you can, if you need a sign, let me know. Follow his social media, share his posts, do put out the word that he's out there and that that's who you're supporting. Because, you know, a lot of times, I'm sure a lot of y'all are the same way. An election comes up, my phone blows up. Who am I supposed to vote for?
Yeah.
Who's this guy? So you know what? Here's your time. Share his post, put it out there. We're if I brag on her, y'all don't tell her I said this. Okay. So my daughter is a graphics design double major, along with being a business major. So this summer, she did an internship, and one of the things that she did is these really cool things called Scrometa-Stats and Fun Fact Fridays. And I know there's free labor too. So anyway, we're going to start putting out a lot of those because it really talks about all the amazing accomplishments that Eric has done over the last 12 years. So yeah, feel free to share those, put it out, let people know what he's been doing and the difference that he has been making. This will be his last 6-year term. The PSC is term limited at 3 6-year terms, and he really wants to finish strong. So I humbly ask on his behalf for your vote. If there's something you need from us, you guys certainly know how to find me, but I will entertain any questions. Yes, ma'am.
The other people that are running against them, what are their party affiliations, you know?
I do.
Okay.
I do.
I'd love to hear.
We have, I'll start at the top. We have John Schwegman. John Schwegman is an independent. John Schwegman held this job a really long time ago. Was defeated by Jay Blossman, and then Eric defeated Jay. So John, he's an independent. We have a guy named William Fortsfield, who's a Green Party guy, and he's, I think, 22 or 23, and is still in college. There's a Democrat. Can't remember his name. Haven't seen him, so can't really help you there. Then we have several Republicans. We have a guy named John Mason. We have Richie Sanderson II, and we have Kevin Pearson, and they're all 3 Republicans. I will tell you quite honestly that there is a solar company who does not love my husband because they didn't like the change to the solar rate structure. And I'll be honest, Eric did that because you know what? The poorest of the poor doesn't need to be paying for the grid for everybody. They can't barely afford their electric bills now. They shouldn't be paying somebody else's share of the grid and the maintenance to the system. And several of these gentlemen were put into the race by the solar company, and it's common knowledge. So it's not a secret. So yeah, we know. But Eric has no problem standing on his record and standing on what he's done. And he feels good about it. It's not like he's going, well, I wish I had done. No, he feels good about it. He knows what he did was right. Any other questions? And y'all are easy crowd. All right, well, again, I thank you all very much for your time. I apologize on Eric's behalf, but, sometimes duty calls, so.
Yes,
Hurricanes. Hurricanes.
Thank you, Debbie. Tell Eric Nielsen hello. Katina, Regent VP, come up and say a few words.
Hi, how are you?
Give us a little,
Hi.
heads up on where we're at.
Yeah,
We have
thank you.
a meeting coming up.
We do. Thank you, Martha.
Welcome.
Let's see. So glad I decided to take some notes.
Yeah, because I didn't tell her.
Winging it
I'll
is
tell her
not a good idea. So as your Region 1 VP, first, thank y'all so much for having me. And it's so great to see all of our clubs finally, getting together again and having their meetings. Because our parish, our area was hit so hard by the COVID restrictions. So just to give you a few things going on in our state level, we have our fall board and membership meeting that is going to be held in Alexandria, October 9th through the 11th. We ask that hotel reservations are made by the 23rd. I ask that our president's report is due by next Friday on the 25th. Another thing we have going on right now is we do have a Hurricane Laura fund that is going on at our state level. There's a GoFundMe page. Y'all should have received emails on that. Please share that with your members. And also, if you don't want to do GoFundMe, you can send a check to our treasurer in New Iberia. And last but not least, October 14th through the 18th, Gina Gore is going to be leading what we call Strike Force to Houston or Dallas. So we are asking for volunteers to go campaign for President Trump. And so, again, that's an email you probably should have received. New one, but y'all want to start gathering some names, and we can get that information to Gina. And I know I did that in 2016, and that's kind of why I'm here right now. But that's all I have to say. But thank y'all so much. It was nice seeing you speak today, and always a pleasure. Thank you.
All right. Do we have any September birthdays? Thank you, Katina. Any September birthdays?
You,
Me. Me.
I'm not letting you get away with
Anyone
that.
else? Can't just be me, right?
Oh, you? Yours is in September? You got song? Yes.
You get to serenade me. My birthday's next Friday.
Oh, happy birthday.
So it's your birthday?
It's my birthday.
Well, happy birthday. Awesome. Well, the song is for you today.
Well,
Okay, you ready? And I need to bring the words. At some point, everybody's going to memorize it, I know, but okay. This is a fun time to gather round. No better reason to be found. This is your birthday, we'll toot your horn. Cause we're so grateful you were born.
that'll be next Friday when we're in Washington, D.C. I'll have my birthday in Washington. So we'll be live streaming from Washington, D.C. from Liberty Lockdown. And it'll be shared on my page and probably the Women's Republican Fund. We're working on, like you mentioned, we're working on getting some great interviews.
Yes.
Right? So I want to thank all of our, do you have any questions?
Well, I have one thing. I came in late, so I apologize if this was already covered. But, we're working the recall campaign.
Oh, come on up and give us
Yeah.
an interview.
Yes.
Come up.
All right. So we're working to recall John Bell Edwards.
Connie Zimmerman.
We need 680,000. That's the number that's been floating around. It started out as 600,000. Now it's up to 680. But I don't know where the numbers are like coming from the media and stuff. So I don't know what the real numbers are. But we have a call into the Secretary of State's office to find out what are the number of registered active voters, because
How
it's
many?
20% of that amount.
300,000,
About 3 million.
3 million?
3 million and, so that's what we need, the exact number. So what we have is people all over the entire state of Louisiana, very active. There is a, Facebook page called Recall John Bell Edwards that started out with a few thousand members and then now has 84,000 plus members, which is just phenomenal. And so if each one of those members just got like 6 signatures, we'd have our number immediately. So we're going to be, Dave and I are going to be with another gentleman working at a table at the Veterans Memorial by across from Lakeside Shopping Center in the neutral ground, taking
Today.
signatures.
Today.
Today. Yeah.
Right next to Liberty and Lockdown.
Yeah, right. So somebody a lockdown's gonna be there doing a live show. So if anybody wants to stop by, 'cause I have petitions in the car, and I wanted to ask you, Dave, did you bring any petitions in the car? Yeah. So if anybody wants to sign the petition today, you can. I just have to go down to the car and get it. You have yours up here? You have them here?
I have them here.
Excellent. So if anybody wants to sign, this is the time.
It is vital that you sign it exactly how you were
Right.
registered.
What my understanding is that what we do is we look everybody up on GoVote when they're with us.
Oh,
So
so
we have your, it's perfect right there. So we just say, please sign it with that. But if you're doing it away from us or at home or you know somebody, get as close to your registration name as possible. Because the whole reason for that is so that they can validate.
Yeah.
Now, your signature needs to just be whatever your signature is, preferably as close to your signature when you register to vote, or they can use, courts have allowed them to use voting records. So when we go to the polls, they can even look at the scans of those and compare. So
What's the deadline on?
the deadline is 6 months from when it was filed, and I think it was around the beginning of September that it was filed.
And is there any way of knowing how many?
Well, they're not, my understanding is that we're probably not gonna announce numbers, we know our numbers. But we're not gonna know the big numbers because the media is gonna jump on it. We have 50,000 signatures are gonna go, oh, they only have 50,000 signatures. So we're probably until it's a few hundred thousand, it might be kind of murky as to how many there are, so Dave has the petition, okay, so the petition's going around. When you're doing the petitions, you cannot mix or mingle parishes. So Orleans Parish has to be on one sheet, Jefferson on another sheet, St. Bernard on another sheet. That's one of the most critical things.
So you have to know that because some of you are like St. Charles.
Yeah.
Some of you, Dave, make sure you know that.
Okay.
Yeah,
Please
she's
tell him
working.
that.
He's working.
If you're from Jefferson, you're on one sheet. You're from
Orleans.
Okay. Is that all Orleans?
Yeah, that's all.
Oh, we need to think
So just know that there's 4.6 million people in the state of Louisiana. 4.6 million people are being hurt. Even though some people are still getting their paychecks, but eventually they will be hurt. But a majority of the people are being hurt right now. So, if there's ever been a time in history that we're gonna recall a governor, this is the time. And Michigan just did a petition, referendum type of petition, to overturn their lunatic governor, restrictions that she's done. They needed 350,000 signatures. They got 400,000 signatures in less than 2 months.
Nice.
So what happens after you get the
That's good
signature?
sign.
That was Michigan, the state of Michigan. So what they did is in less than 2 months.
Less than 2 months.
And so they are going to overturn her state of emergency.
So how does that work?
Yeah,
Once they
just
overturn,
exactly what you said.
oh, that's the
You just
state
have to
emergency.
make sure
Once
you
they
get it
recall the governor, what is the process?
Okay,
To get a
once
new
Governor Edwards is recalled, and he will be, all right?
Yeah.
Well, first of all, we have to finish the petition.
Yeah.
Once we turn in the signatures, they schedule a recall election. Then we still have to go to the polls and we have to vote yes, recall him. Then, once that's done, 9 days later, he has 9 days to contest it. 9 days later, he's out. Billy Nungesser steps into his position. And I've heard two versions. One is that Billy Nungesser stays until the end of the term, which is 2024. But the other is that there's a special election to fill the seat. But what I heard was the special election is to fill Billy Nungesser's seat.
Right, that's what Lieutenant Governor said.
Yeah, but we need to start working on Billy right now, because how tragic would that be is if Billy Nungesser is in that position and doesn't end the shutdown. I mean, that would be terrible.
I've been talking with Billy, and you was with me when I actually texted him, and we're working on him. We're supposed to be setting up a meeting after we get back from Washington.
Good.
And because I told him, you know, Billy's a good friend of mine, and we're gonna throw our support behind him 100%. And I think Billy's
I
gonna
mean,
do the
he's
right
going to
thing.
be strong.
Love,
He's going
he'd
to
be a
have
great governor.
He's going to have he's not even going to have a full Republican legislature to support him, right? Because they're not supporting us right now. Okay, anyway, anybody have any questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Sign a petition.
All
We're
right.
going to do it. We're making history. We're going to make history. Yes.
Any comments, Terry?
We get the
Rally. All right, let's draw it. Deborah, why don't you do it all now?
Let them do it.
So then, of course, they would have to do it because you were replaced the Democrats. So Oh, man, this is.
Let me see it. All right, what's the number?
Okay.
Well, you'll have to say Democrats.
99, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. 99, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. 99, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3.
1, 2, 3. Go 1, 2,
Let's go 1, 2, 3.
Oh, I think it's me. But let me put my glasses on just to make sure.
She has 1, 2, 2.
Yes, 1, 2, 3.
All right, you're the winner.
All right.
What do you have?
Would you win?
99, 1, 2, 1, 2, 2.
Wow.
99, 1, 2, 1, 2, 2.
What is it?
Hi,
Oh,
Chris.
that's me.
The Lord is blessing you.
Is this cash?
No, half
I'm
cash.
donating it back to the organization.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. The women probably will love you.
Okay, later, if you want to download the form and get other people to sign it, that is where you download it from.
All right, give
See,
me you gave it to him? Okay, good. All right.
We can test that.
Yeah.
Y'all want to cook?
Yes,
Can you go around and ask them? Oh, they didn't get it?
Yeah, you'll be happy because it'll give you a little more confidence in your
Is he gonna be announced on the radio?
Thank you. You keep that on you. How about that?
Not the radio, the live.
weapon. Democrats are still
Oh, you can put my name on
taking
it.
it as a protest. Oh, I'm sorry. I just never
I need to change it back.
Okay.
I'll put it on. Sorry, we do have on to the next meeting. All right, great meeting.
Thank you.
Fantastic, fantastic. Hello. Oh, okay. You threw away my card already. That's all right. It's been a while since Are you? Where are you? Nice to meet you. Probably knows that. That's why I asked you when you went over. Oh, congratulations! Yeah, cell on here. Oh, yes, yes, cell phones on here. You so? And I get one more ticket. That is awesome. Well,
Thank you so much.
okay. You, so I can do a speech. Yeah. Oh, man. You got it?
Oh, I'll talk to you later.
Okay.
So next month I'll have your.
We gotta go. We gotta go.